when I discovered YouTube on January 1st, 2007. 7 months before I opened my first account called edray1416 on August 2nd, 2007. I've seen many users come and go, either by termination, voluntarily leaving the site to do other things, or unfortunately by death. We've seen the old generation of users get shoved to the side for users that got popular by being a boring hack that panders to the lowest common denominator. We've seen communities rise and ultimately fall. But there was one man that stood up to a bunch of cowards that tried to sue him, issued him death threats, cried over spilled milk, and flagged him down multiple times. His name was Jim81Jim, most commonly known today as Mr. Metokur. How was this man inspired to join YouTube? What made him not want to trust people? What inspired him to take potshots at idiots? And what caused his downfall? As the old saying goes, let's start at the beginning. Jim81Jim was a fixture on the internet from the days of Sean Baby, the dot-com bubble era, the rise of Newgrounds, etc. But then came YouTube in 2005, slowly changing the scene of video sharing. It wasn't until October of 2006 when Google purchased YouTube from Jawed Karim, Chad Hurley, and Steve Chen when YouTube would gain attention on the internet. During this time, music and comedy were the top genres on YouTube, with other communities gaining attention. A prime example was the angry gaming community, and this is where Jim stepped in because he went from shooting the breeze on random sites to watching video game reviewers swear like sailors. Angry video game nerd, Armig21, Spoony1, etc. Because of the genuine entertainment, Jim81Jim would join YouTube on July 21st, 2007. I cannot say what his earliest videos were, but his claim to fame was in 2008 when he made a series of videos on a person named Spax3. I know a lot of you remember Spax3, but for those who do not know, Spax3 was a user notorious for his obsessive hate over Jason Griffith, the former voice of Sonic the Hedgehog. Spax3's infamy was his participation in the Great Sonic Side of 2007, flagging down content that criticized him, threatened lawsuits over people that criticized him, issued death threats, and contradicted himself. Kind of like Life in a Tent 4 years later when he made that stupid earthquake video that pisses me off to this day. Nonetheless, Jim81Jim made a 20-minute video on Spax3 and his website called Spax's Game Tune Zone. Basically, he reviewed the look of the site, the posts, and the videos. This would get Jim tremendous views at the time, causing tremendous drama between Jim and Spax's fanboys. Another thing that happened in 2008 was the YouTube commentary community. Inspired by Reupload, a commentary channel created by Let's Players Slow Beef and Diabetes, Jim was blown away by the timing, delivery, and the edge of the jokes. Unlike guys such as Slow Beef, Diabetes, Armig21, Big Al, and Boomstick545, Jim would take commentaries to a whole new level of comedic. The commentary series on Spax3 began in 2009. In fact, I'm going to show you a snippet of Jim's commentary style.
A really sassy look.
Better tase his ass.
Hey, listen to me. Gotcha.
Whoops, off by 5 feet.
Why, you little?
Hey, the policemen don't mistreat animals. On my count, everyone catch it.
Hopefully you can't see us lunging at him.
Moving slowly. Now!
Yeah, everybody scream at once. Stealth is for pussies.
Am I alone? Or did everyone else come with me?
Well, it's okay.
What the fuck? Hold up a second. Hold the fuck up a second. What was that? It's like a Paxil commercial. What the hell? He's fucking completely depressed and then all of a sudden, well, fuck it, I'm okay. That's the most goddamn unbalanced hedgehog I've ever fucking seen. That's a clear-cut definition of what goddamn manic depressive is.
Subsequently, Spax3 would take responsibility for his wrongdoings and move on to better things in life. I don't know the number of commentaries Jim would make throughout 2009 before saying, it's time for me to move on to something else. The drama with the commentary community after 2009 was what led Jim to create a no internet friends policy. Meaning unless Jim met people in real life, he does not trust anyone on the internet. In a sense, Jim is a modern day Stone Cold Steve Austin, giving idiots on the internet stone cold stunners at random. Jim would also do commentaries on multiple channels including Games Good Me Bad, one of Jim's 9,000 backup accounts. The other channel I can think of was Midlife Jim. In fact, It was this channel where Jim would make his first and only rant on the YouTube commentary community. The first 30 seconds alone is worth paying attention to.
Commentaries. Essentially, it's you inviting yourself into a conversation no one asked you to join. New media's equivalent of syphilis, something which is easily spread and, in hindsight, embarrassing to admit having caught. The symptoms are unique, generally inflicting the user with a massively swollen ego, strained vocal cords, Tourette's-like speech patterns, and the inability to shut the fuck up. Much like syphilis, it's a communicable disease, every day spreading deeper and deeper within various communities until none are left pure from its touch. Persistent, virulent, never ceasing in its mission to make users create more and more useless content. It would appear to be unstoppable.
To summarize this video, Jim complained about commentators nitpicking, stifling potential from the user in question, the style of commentaries, and the lack of humor in 95% of the commentaries. After being bandwagoned for several years, I can attest to this because while humor is subjective, most of the commentaries that I've seen over the years have become incredibly boring. Even after 10 years, Jim's video on the commentary community holds weight. And of course, 2 users off the top of my head called out Jim for this video. DarkRaven488 and Joshua8428, aka Shadvik the Hedgehog, who I will talk about at some point when I'm mentally well enough. DarkRaven488 complained about Jim being subjective while DarkRaven contradicted himself. Joshua8428 on the other hand took the definition of commentaries out of context, making himself look idiotic in the process. This signified the downfall of the second generation YouTube commentary community, a generation that was arguably the best. Jim would also do commentaries with Big Al 2K6, probably the only user he trusted at the time before the two went their own ways. That's life. By 2011, Jim was getting flagged for his commentaries and other videos at the time. Thus he abandoned both the Jim81Jim and Games Good Me Bad accounts. Jim would start a new chapter in his life. The Internet Aristocrat. Jim would create his Internet Aristocrat account on June 28, 2012. Judging by his content before Gamergate, he would analyze retards in a savage style. One of the most obvious examples of his in-depth analysis style happened to be on Joshua8428 back in 2013, titled A Case in Point Concept. Was this video revenge for Joshua's infamous commentary on Jim's rant about the commentary community, or was it just Jim being Jim in 2013? This would be the formula for Jim's other series that started on the Internet Aristocrat channel. Examples? Tumblrisms, Internet Insanity, and the Hugbox Chronicles. That's right, all 3 legendary series started on the Internet Aristocrat channel. But the cherry on top, the real winner of the Internet Aristocrat era, was Jim's involvement in Gamergate. For those of you that do not know about Gamergate, it was a controversial era in gaming when female gamers complained about objectification of women in video games, along with games not featuring enough female protagonists. Women involved with this controversial movement like Zoe Quinn, Anita Sarkeesian, among others, had a reputation for spreading misinformation about the history of women in gaming. Factor in that they did not do enough research to realize that there were video games that had females as protagonists. Case in point, the Sega Ninja Arcade in 1985, Metroid in 1986, Princess Toadstool and Super Mario Bros. 2 in 1988. The list could go on. Nonetheless, Jim's most memorable moment on the Internet Aristocrat channel was his series of videos on Zoe Quinn. Once again, for those that do not know, Zoe Quinn is a video game developer who was the main focus of Gamergate, known for copyright-claiming content that criticized her, scamming, doxing, and giving the video game community a bad reputation overall. This would be the darkest time in the video game industry. Gamergate subsequently would make Jim shut down his Internet Aristocrat account. This incident was Jim's most serious time on the internet. If you want the full context regarding Zoe Quinn, link will be in the description. Like I said before, the Internet Aristocrat channel ushered in 3 legendary series: Tumblrisms, Hugbox Chronicles, and Internet Insanity. These 3 series would carry over to the Mr. Metokur channel right after the Internet Aristocrat channel closed down. Incidentally, the era of social justice warriors during the mid-2010s launched numerous channels, making for great entertainment at the time. Tumblrisms was about analyzing social justice warrior snowflakes on Tumblr, a social media site that I never joined. Hugbox Chronicles was an analysis about internet crybabies that start drama especially over the most trivial hogwash. Sure, There are legit cases of incidents that do occur on the internet, but the internet crybabies blow something up over subjective viewpoints to make the situations worse than it is. Finally, Internet Insanity, a series analyzing legitimately insane people on the internet. People that honestly should not be on the internet for their own safety. Some of the people that were covered on Internet Insanity either left the internet, went to prison, or unfortunately died. While Jim's style of humor was the same as it was on the Jim81 Jim channel, Tumblrisms, Hugbox Chronicles, and Internet Insanity were all different in terms of general presentation. In 2015, Jim was drained from Gamergate, needing a break from the internet, so he would close his Internet Aristocrat account, leaving behind 500 subscribers. While the Internet Aristocrat was coming to an end, the Mr. Metokur account was already taking off. Jim opened up his Mr. Metokur account in 2014 to break away from Gamergate to make joke content. What made Mr. Metokur popular at the time were live streams and random content. Knowing that Mr. Metokur would become Jim's most popular channel, he would subsequently bring his series Tumblrisms, Hugbox Chronicles, and Internet Insanity to the channel. After his break from the internet, Jim would cover a lot of subjects related to the news, certain communities, etc. Then in 2016, Jim created a new series specifically targeting degenerates on DeviantArt called Deviants. The first episode does not deserve my description, so I'll go ahead and cue what this is about.
Welcome one and all to the 8th episode of Tumblr. Wait a minute, this isn't Tumblrisms, this is Deviants. The first episode to be exact. This is Pump Me Up. And that's not a euphemism. That is not a euphemism for being excited. You may be asking yourself, as you slowly unzip your pants because you know what's coming, Jim, why would we be looking at DeviantArt? And what could Pump Me Up possibly refer to? Well, it refers to inflation. And I'm not talking about the monetary kind. I'm talking about a very special kind of inflation that's only found in the minds of degenerate motherfuckers.
The result of this made people aware of the rising degeneracy of artwork on DeviantArt, another site that I never joined. The first episode of Deviants would be met with controversy from the YouTube commentary community. The first person to call out Jim was Doodletones with the commentary titled "Kink Shaming Isn't My Fetish." This is what made Jim the focus of backlash, but Jim fired back against many people in the commentary and furry communities. In episode 7 of the Hugbox Chronicles, Jim discovered that Doodletones was part of the ABDL, Adult Baby Diaper Lover, role-playing group. That immediately raised eyebrows, myself included. When I called out the commentary community in the midst of this drama, I pretty much burned bridges. One of the things that I learned in 2016 is that you get caught up in something subjective, you run the risk of burning bridges. Since then, I don't care about what people like because I have better things to do than tell people how to live accordingly. I'm no Mao Zedong nor Joseph Stalin. Aside from Doodletones, for no good reason got so pissed at Metokur, him and other people wanted to challenge him on Metocast, Jim's podcast. At the last minute, FNGR backed down. Again, I got caught up with the drama, leading to me duking it out with FNGR myself. As you can see, I was a huge fan of Metokur back in the day. Since then, people think I'm a crazy sumbitch that talks about Adolf Hitler, whatever. The result of the commentary community taking the first episode of Deviant so seriously led to pure dissension in the commentary community. Thus, guys like Darkscythe, Mr. Inferno, Dylan Thomas, a guy that Mr. Metokur took shots at, Just a Robot, Chambers of My Heart, and myself would be part of a short-lived clique called the Alt Commentary Community. Not only would this lead to a war, but this actually got the attention of Jim on Twitter before Jack Dorsey terminated the Mr. Metokur account. Internet Insanity and Deviance would be the gold standard for content on Mr. Metokur's channel. Other videos that would be covered on the Mr. Metokur channel were members of That Guy with Glasses, gaming streams, and a short-lived popular thing called Internet Blood Sports. Was Internet Blood Sports or getting interviews on multiple channels the downfall of Jim? No. I think this was the downfall of Jim.
Now that you're a whore, is your content going to change? No, I'm still going to talk about the stupid shit I like to talk about, and fuck with the different idiots online that I like to fuck with, and that's not going to change. Are you going to ask us to turn off that pesky ad block? No, I'm not putting ads on my videos. They're annoying. I use ad block. Ads ruin the internet. You expect me to support you? Not at all. Like I said, I think Patreon and PayPal and adverts and all that shit is gay as fuck. I don't expect you to do shit. Has this been your longest op, using YouTube for 10 years and now monetizing? Yeah, this has been my grand plan, really. You know, when you think about it, it makes perfect sense. Create multiple channels over the last decade, allowing them each to get up to a point where they become popular and then closing them down, all leading to this one moment. It was a very long operation, but I think I planned it out pretty fucking well. How big of a tip or contribution do I need to give to spit in your mouth, slut? It's gonna be a big one. It's gonna be a big one. Are you going to start selling clocks with your face on it now? Don't be fucking ridiculous. I'm going to sell shirts and coffee mugs and hats instead.
In 2017, Jim's popularity was rising. He felt that YouTube was making it more difficult for him to make money via monetization. Because of that, he felt it was time to make donations from his fans to provide content quality. What I find very ironic is that when Mr. Metokur talked about Noah Antweiler and his downfall, Jim's content quality slowly started going downhill. Sometimes money will do that to people no matter who they are. Discipline is important in creating a sustainable fan base. While internet insanity was going strong until April of 2018, Metokur's channel began to snowball regardless of his Patreon donations and super chats here on YouTube. Factor in Jim's participation in internet blood sports, his plans of doing a detailed video on the YouTube commentary community along with more episodes of Deviance and internet insanity went awry. His appearances in the rough retort did not do his channel any favors. Longtime fans of Metokur were starting to see the cracks. Once Jim's content quality suffered, he went from $3,000 a month on Patreon to half of that apparently before Patreon terminated him. Subsequently, YouTube had enough of Jim and his savage style of content, suspending his partnership. Jim in return would have enough of YouTube, demanding that YouTube CEO Susan Wojcicki pay him what YouTube owed him. After 12 years of YouTube, Jim finally departed with only 5 videos left on his Mr. Metokur account. Jim would try to upload new content for BitChute, which is mostly a political video sharing site with some social views and entertainment. Thus in September of 2019, Jim would upload what could have been a series called Furry Pandemonium. Basically, this potential series as it should have been was about the sheer degeneracy of furries on the internet, something that T-Bone 2004 pointed out about his furry rant in 2011. Jim would also talk about transgenders, a crazy doctor, and crazies protesting, but no one in the year 2020 expected what would happen to Jim. On August 30th, 2020, Jim confirmed on his Quarantine Proof account on Twitter that he has indolent lymphoma. For those that do not know, indolent lymphoma is a form of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma that grows and spreads slowly. This is a lymphoma that attacks white blood cells and really takes a toll to a point where you cannot produce content at all. What are the symptoms of indolent lymphoma? Swelling, unexplained fever, unintended weight loss, loss of appetite, night sweats, persistent pain in chest and abdomen, enlarged spleen or liver, itchy skin, and bumps or rashes. Depending on the treatment and lifestyle changes, the average person can live with indolent lymphoma for 12 to 14 years. However, considering Jim's condition, we do not know the severity of the indolent lymphoma. He could pass away in 6 months, 1 year, 2 years, maybe 5 years. Considering the amount of suffering Jim endured not just mentally on the internet since 2007 alongside chain smoking, we do not know if he can return to create content again. So when Jim announced that he had cancer, that is when we got our answer as to why he hasn't produced content or streamed for quite a while. It's sad because with Jim turning 40 years old this year, this might be the end of an era. Many of the old school YouTubers have either retired or passed away. Jim was a guy that told it like it was throughout his tenure, but the money and eventually the cancer would be the end of something amazing. What is a lesson we can learn from Jim? Be yourself, be honest, don't let anyone stifle your potential, and most importantly, do not sell yourself out for those dollars. If you are going to network for fun, not attention. I wish Jim well. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen.